corridor full of rooms. And then the brothel woman, he told them that he was there to meet a wife. And the one woman opened the door. He goes in, he gets in, and there's like 3 or 4 women in there. And there's total darkness. He can't see a thing at all. And he's hearing, they're communicating very low and talking to him and saying, what do you want? What sex do you want? Let's do it. And he was like, oh no, because he's a journalist, undercover journalist, and saying, I don't want sex. And she's like, please, they'll beat us if you don't have sex with us. And he had been locked inside at this point by the woman, the brothel owner on the outside.
So he had to do it?
No, and then he managed to figure out a way where he started knocking on the door and saying that he had to go, that something had happened, and came up with an excuse to leave. But even him, and he's an undercover journalist that covers the worst of the worst crimes, he was telling me it was one of the most depressing and nerve-wracking things he's ever done in his life. And these 3, 4 women holed up in there in total darkness and forced to have sex with men that come like this. And then a lot of them are sold to become brides as well. Yeah, it's dark.
Is there regulation in those areas over that sort of thing?
They say there is, but obviously what we found is that there isn't.
And this is part of a new episode?
Yeah, this is one of the episodes of this season. Yeah.
How do you leave a place like that and not bring it with you, not feel like you have to go back and do something? What is that like? I
think that's the hardest part. It's not so much about bringing this. A lot of people, I get asked sometimes, why am I not depressed and, at home locked on drugs because of all of what I've seen? It's not so much for me. It's not so much that it's the fact that, we live a little bit on somebody's nightmare for a day, and then we have the privilege of coming back. And, we're almost like, feels like we're exploiting their nightmare because we want them to share their stories.
Yeah, I can see how it could feel like that at times. How do you manage that feeling? I mean, how do you manage that?
I'd say that the way that I rationalize it, I'm not patting myself on the back, because I think journalists love to say that they have a very important job, and I do think journalism is important, but I'm not the kind of journalist that goes around, telling people I've got the most important jobs. There are jobs that are more important. You don't see teachers going around saying their jobs are important, and I have no idea why journalism.
Neither one of us is Lester Holt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's be realistic.
But I do think that the way I rationalize it basically is that, putting the story out there and being able to gain access to these worlds and showing why this is happening, I'm hoping that then we are holding power accountable. We're telling those people in power that this is happening and trying to change the system, because at the end of the day, for me, it's not so much that people are broken, it's that the systems are broken, the systems that allow these things to happen. Whether we talk about immigration, or we've reported on fake pharmaceuticals and how the Mexican cartel and groups in India are making these really dangerous, deadly pharmaceuticals that Americans, like 20 million Americans, cannot afford medication. Their own that they need, life-saving medication sometimes. And so they're having to resort to online pharmacies in India, or going down to Mexico to these border pharmacies. And a lot of times that stuff is deadly and tainted with other drugs and other chemicals. And what does that tell me? It doesn't tell me. It tells me that people are exploiting a broken system. And it's our responsibility and our government that has allowed this to happen. Why is it that 20 million Americans can't afford life-saving treatment, right?
Yeah.
What does it say about us more than what does it say about the guy in India who's making these drugs,
Yeah. It's wild that, most people are afraid of getting sick nowadays just because they're like, I don't know if I want to go through all the bullshit, the stress of even trying to get better with this system. It's almost like it tries to kill you while you're just trying to get some basic medicine, It's it's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking. Over your 20 years, kind of investigating the dark arts, if you will, have you noticed things getting, do you think, better? And I know that's a big kind of blanket term. Or have you noticed things getting not better?
Not better.
Not better?
Not better. So most people don't know this, but 38% of our global economy are these gray and black markets. It's what economists call the hidden third.
Wait, what are you saying?
That almost 38% of the global economy are these black and gray markets.
38% of the global economy, of the GDP of Earth?
So the drug trade alone is estimated